From Tippett one down.
We're going to go ahead and move forward. Councilman Lutz, if you wouldn't mind reading the Open Public Act statement for me, please.
This meeting is called pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Law. This meeting of April 10th, 2018 was included in a list of meetings, notices sent to the newspapers of report and posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, and has remained continuously posted as required notice under the statute. In addition, a copy of this notice has been available to the public and is on file at the office of the municipal clerk.
Thank you so much. And I know it's not on there, but we will stand for the pledge of allegiance.
I'll put it on next one.
That's it. You don't have to do it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. So as everybody can see, Attorney Winter changed his look for the evening. Attorney Joe, how do you say your last name?
Salvador.
Salvador. Attorney Joe Salvador is with us this evening. We can move forward with the roll call vote, Vicki.
Councilman Lutz?
Here.
Councilman McVeigh?
Here.
Councilman Davis?
Here.
Council Vice President DeGirolamo? Council President Colbert?
Here. Okay, we will go ahead and move forward with public comments. Does anybody have any public comments? This is where you do come up and speak. David, Mr. Moore said it, like just go ahead and approach the podium. You know the drill, name and address.
Y'all can probably hear me, I think. It's not a big crowd. David Morissette, 5 Fairview Heights, Phillipsburg, New Jersey. I would like to ask all the members, now the council members and Vicki all did a great job last time of speaking into their mics. Attorney Wenner actually put his mic away and he was hard to hear. So I ask all of you to please continue speaking into your mics, and that really helps the people in the audience to hear. Thank you.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Is discussion sort of open down in discussion since it's a
I-
work thing, or do we have?
It would be discussion amongst council members only, so if you wanted to discuss something that's on the agenda, I would ask that you get up now, Karen.
Okay.
Ricky Sexton, 110 Bullman Street, Phillipsburg.
Rick, you can turn your mic on. I just want. There you go.
I'm here on behalf of the Town Falcons. We had spoken to the mayor about Walters Park Field being done for the kids. Still to date, there's nothing been done up there. The kids have a game next Thursday night at Walters Park. We have nowhere to play. And on our schedule it says Walters Park for our first game. He promised us that we can use the field if we have volunteers to go up there and do work. We had 7 guys up there Saturday morning for 3 hours waiting. We marked the field with chalk, everything. He never showed up for us.
Okay, Rick, just so you're aware, I spoke with the mayor on multiple occasions this morning, where he had initially declined and stated that he'd spoke with somebody at the DPW and said that he wouldn't be able to give it to Fergtown this year. I do not believe there's any validity to that statement, because I used to coach and I was there last year during the All-Star game. The mayor's argument was that there were no base plugs. It was only for the juniors, not the majors. However, I'm sure you know, and you coached as well last year, the field has plugs for all 3 levels. You just have to dig them up. I'm sure everyone's familiar with how the plugs work with the bases. And then he had said that it would be overly burdensome and highly technical to do a mount. And I'm going to tell you exactly what I told the mayor today. We will have volunteers. I will round people up, and we will have that field ready for the Falcons home game this next week.
Thursday night, yes.
It is Thursday night?
Yes.
Okay. So this Thursday night?
No, next Thursday.
Next Thursday night. I will round volunteers up and we will make sure that we are there in mass to make sure that that field is ready. That is, of course, if the DPW does not already do that. I cannot speak for them. They may already be out there.
Well, I went around today, they did every field besides Walters Park.
They did mark it though. Was it marked on Saturday?
I marked it myself.
That was you who marked it?
I marked it myself
Okay.
with white spray paint.
Yes.
I did
yes.
that myself.
Okay, I did notice that the bases were marked, so.
Me and Master did.
Okay. I believe, Councilman, I mean, if you guys aren't doing anything, it's not really a quorum if we're out there fixing up a field for the
It'll
kids.
be 80 degrees Saturday.
You know, I know Councilman Davis, I know that you coach track, but if you are available, it's a park, bring the kids out. I got an 8-year-old, they can play. But I would like to do whatever we possibly can to get these kids out there on that field. Like I stated in the last council meeting, the Furtown Falcons have always played at Walters Park. So I'd like to maintain that, I guess, heritage, if you will, that they used it. So if we can, Councilman Lutz, if you're available,
Yeah, I'll be
I know that we will make sure that that happens. Your schedules are already placed with the league,
I
right?
got the schedule up.
So they're sending people to Walters Park because that is your home field. And
Yes,
if they change it, it's kind of like similar to basketball. They give you a hard time.
yes.
Okay, well, that's not going to happen.
They told us if we changed it at the last minute, our organization will be fine.
Okay, well, we definitely don't want you to be fined. I mean, I think it's, the consensus here of council is that we want to be able to see the kids play. You have my promise. We will be out there this week. I'd like to do a Saturday if any.
I can have one
Is anybody
volunteer
available
from the Falcons
Saturday?
too.
Are you available Saturday, Councilman?
I'm good. I'm good Saturday at about 1. Then if I can bring all the kids down to the Pink concert, they'd probably enjoy that. So that's where I'll be going after that. But I'll be there the crack of dawn up until 1 p.m.
I'm going to go to the Pink concert with Councilman Beck.
I will be there. I'll be able to field to help you. A couple
Excellent.
volunteers.
Thank you. We will make sure we can do it.
What time would you like to start?
You want to do 1 o'clock on Saturday?
No,
You got to
He's
leave
leaving
at
at
1.
1.
yeah, and Mr. Sexton, I am not leaving Fort Pink. I actually work at the arena which is playing, so I don't make that clear. But I'm good up until 1 o'clock as well. I'll be there the crack of dawn up until 1 o'clock.
Councilman Bay, we make no judgments on your music taste.
I have to agree with Councilman Davis.
What, 9 o'clock?
8 o'clock?
8, 9 o'clock?
8 o'clock on Saturday morning, you will see this council there, and we will ready to
We'll
help
be
you.
there too. Thank you guys.
You're very welcome. Okay. Is there any other public comments?
Just because it's easy, I'm Joe Miner, I live at 394 South Main Street, Phillipsburg, partial. Having nobody charging for parking on the street really works wonders for all the poor people like me who park there now and then for free. There's also something you might want to throw into your exception for the parking lots. On Sunday, when I tried to park in my parking lot, and I haven't paid, I was shamed more and more by Lori into buying a parking permit for the last 2 years. So I have one, and then sometimes on Sundays I can't park in the lot because of the church. Either give them a waiver or charge them a $10 for the year fee for parking Sundays. You know, it's a suggestion to get around it, because if I get a complaint there, I'll probably park on the street. It's Sunday, you won't ticket me, and then I'll move. But the idea is I should be able to park there. And now, I solved this a couple years ago, more than a couple years ago. I went to the priest and I said, leave 2 parking spots for the people that have permits. And lo and behold, the parishioners left 2. There would always be, I'd come back there while they were having Mass, and there'd be a couple parking spots. They actually followed through with it. It worked. So maybe something very informal would work. But which means the best thing might be, is just plain don't enforce it on Sunday. Then the church people can park there.
Thank you.
Emil Brisson, 94 Bowman Street, Phillipsburg. I have some questions about the the social media policy. Just kind of rushing through it because I just saw it today. I tried to look online to see if the agenda was posted, and it wasn't posted. It would have been nice to be able to look at this ahead of time. But I just wonder whether, is this social media policy, was this drawn up by Attorney Wenner or?
No, I believe that's the actual social media policy that the mayor had introduced back in 2016. I can tell you that that is not the social media policy that we will be adopting, but it was rather I had asked Vicki to put that in there. I can tell you, just by reading over it and studying some case law and discussing with Attorney Wenner, a majority of that is invalid, and that's not what we're looking to do. So,
Because I think one of the things that was mentioned at the last meeting was that the social media policy could not apply to elected officials, which is included in here.
correct.
Okay. If you're going to use any part of this in this first paragraph where it says the mayor holds, quote, all employees, that seems like the quotes are inappropriate.
Right, I didn't write this just yet, so you know. As a matter of fact, I wasn't even a councilman at the time that this was introduced. But when I did read it this morning, I can tell you that you're absolutely correct, Mr. Burson. This, just by reading it and actually speaking with the attorney prior to, this would be considered unconstitutional, which is not the direction we're trying to take.
So will part of the agenda tonight be for you all to talk about what you want to see included in that?
Yes.
Social media?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we can then move forward with the discussion between council regarding the PG channel. And I guess I can start and then we'll each go through like a typical work session. Just to start off, I've been attending council meetings since 2007. It's always appears that the town of Phillipsburg has been trying to get the public education government channel off its feet, which would allow for the appropriate oversight for the committee anyway, allow them to ensure the appropriate oversight of our communications, as well as devising policies and procedures for officially uploading, televising, and posting recordings of our governmental proceedings for public review. Not just the governmental proceedings for council meetings, but planning board meetings and the Shade Tree Commission meetings, should they so choose to take place. I've never watched the Shade Tree Commission meeting, but I don't know anyone who would like to. No offense to Mr. Lynn and the rest of the Shade Tree Commission. My personal opinion is I'd like to formally establish a committee to appoint a volunteer town videographer to record our meetings and/or purchase recording equipment which would allow for the immediate upload for our constituents to review. Now, I was in discussion with Mayor Kern, and they do use a company called Bramco. Then we would no longer need a videographer, as we would have the equipment installed. I did speak with the Housing Authority, and they would allow us to install it temporarily here. But we would still need to form a committee. It's my intention to have these recordings uploaded to the channel provided to us by Service Electric. However, being that we are in the 21st century, there are other forms of media that everyone else watches, such as YouTube, our town website, and the other various social media sites. Hopefully, we will have an outline for the PEG committee after tonight, ready for council approval by at least the second meeting in May. That's all I personally have on the PEG channel. I will then go ahead and turn it over to Councilman Lutz for his input.
Nothing right now.
Councilman McVeigh.
Council President, is there a recommended number of committee members on this?
The majority that I had looked at were anywhere between 5 and 11 members. It would depend upon this council how many members they would truly want to see. I know initially, and Councilman Davis, correct me if I'm wrong, but you had inherited this when they first came in, and it was kind of like a mock committee, right? Was it 5 members? Is that what it was? About 5 members or 6 members?
No, it was me.
You were the only member.
Yes.
So,
Usually the only member.
being that you were the only committee member, I'm afraid we'd have to dissolve that committee and then replace it with a new one. Would that be okay with you?
Well, yeah, it's, I think generally in the franchise that we have with Source Electric, it just says there's a committee, so I don't think we actually have statutory basis for the creation of a committee.
Right. Well, I was joking
Oh, yeah,
about
sorry, yeah,
dissolving
yeah,
you, so.
yeah.
No, but that's what this would do, is we would actually be putting this forward,
That's fine.
we'd be comprising the committee, so.
Yeah, the only, well, sorry, I didn't mean to take your time. That's what you did.
No, I didn't know you were the lone committee member, so I'm just, it's actually sad. that-
Yeah, we feel bad for you.
I'm,
But it was like a unanimous vote every time, right?
oh, yes.
You never were defeated.
Yeah.
Okay.
A few people reached out to me within Phillipsburg that live here that have some expertise in this field, offering, a few have. So I didn't know whether, I'm asking how many people, what it's going to be, if it's going to be comprised of folks with the background in this. Because if we are launching this up, and you are in the field council president, if we're going to put a product out, it's got to be, and I know this is a very broad term, it's got to be world class. It's got to be, we have, unfortunately, a reputation, not so much this council, but, since we've been going to video, folks like to watch the crash and burn. And recently, like I said, we tried it from day one, we talked about having civil meetings. So now, moving forward, and we are going to brand ourselves. I just want to make sure that that product is people that are familiar with videography equipment, in addition to if there are people that can help. It's just, at every turn we make, if there is problems along the way, we have the right people's hands that know exactly how to handle this and what to do, so we don't end up in any embarrassing situation. But I look forward to this.
No, I agree. And just so to point out, there would be, let's say we had to go down the route of the videographer, that they would be held to the same ethical standards that we just passed with regard to the policy, subject to the very same fines of the municipal ethics policy. But it would be my expectation that we place into this committee bylaws which would say, there would be no color commentary, right? There would be no screaming. And if you were the videographer, you would not be able to yell. I mean, Mr. Morris has been doing this for quite some time. Although I haven't seen his videos, I highly doubt that we would hear Mr. Morissette providing us with color commentary from the back of the room. If we do, Mr. Morissette, it's just because I haven't seen your videos, but if you put them up online, I'll watch them. But I would like it to be done in a professional manner, because Phillipsburg has been the butt of many jokes over the past few years, and I don't believe that we can narrow it down to just any one individual. So I do believe that this council does act with class. Even though we are a governing body, and there are opposing views, we will lose our temper at times. But I'm in full agreement, and that would be one of the stipulations that I would put out there, would be that we would, act appropriately at all times.
It's good. It's the product. I'm really looking forward to the product being put out and how we'll put it out. That's the committee will discuss where it goes. I believe less is more. So just a couple of spots where people can view. We actually encourage the folks to still come out to the meetings live.
Correct.
But in addition to, if there's various reasons why they can't come out, love to have them have that opportunity to see what we're doing here for the town.
Sure. I believe we could direct them to the website. Would help the website traffic and link. We could have a YouTube. We do have a YouTube channel, from what I understand, and we could link the YouTube videos. We could embed them into the website, and it would draw more traffic. So we could do something like that as well. We could even put the agenda underneath the videos, and they could download the agenda while watching. The possibilities are endless.
That's all I have.
Okay. Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Davis.
No, I'm glad that the Housing Authority has given us permission to install equipment here. I would ask that if we do have a list of services that are desirable, before we would commit to negotiations or contracting with any firm, that we would create a request for proposal with those specifications in order to make sure that we have comparable bids.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, we were going to discuss the parking meter fees and the time. Do we still want to do that, Councilman Lutz? It doesn't appear that they are here this evening.
No, it doesn't seem, we asked them to be here, so I don't
We
know
did.
what's happening.
So because the parties that we had invited are not here this evening, we will have them at the next work session and discuss that. So if that's okay with council, we will go ahead and skip that and move forward to the social media policy. Okay. This, I remember when this had first come about back in 2016, and I supported the mayor when he had said that the town of Phillipsburg did need a social media policy. I'm surprised that we didn't have one prior, but I guess Facebook wasn't as big back then. But you know, over the past couple years, we've seen a couple things on our social media sites with you know, social media accounts used to maliciously spread false information. Not so much from elected parties; it could be from just parties in the town. We've also seen public comments removed from the town of Phillipsburg Facebook account and our political Facebook accounts, and some of the postings and the posting of replies on the town of Phillipsburg page without properly identifying which town representative is creating the posting. So if someone is replying to me on the town of Phillipsburg Facebook page, it just appears that it's the town of Phillipsburg, but I don't know which party is actually replying to me. It would be helpful to say, you know, if Ms. Kleiner was, if Clerk Kleiner, I apologize, Vicki, if Clerk Kleiner was responding to me in a comment, even though it's under town of Phillipsburg, I would like her to sign her name underneath so we know which party is responsible. It comes down to accountability. In the recent case law, which was Davison versus Loudoun County, the Board of Supervisors, Virginia federal courts recently ruled that a politician violated an individual's right to free expression by temporarily banning him, this person, from her political Facebook page. And if you are a political figure, that is the only stipulation that I believe would be a guideline. And I'm not sure that it's right for the social media policy. It might be something that we need to move into the ethics policy. I'm not sure where that would go. I guess we'd have to confer. But the court had also found that the political figure had created a public forum, and because they created that public forum with her official Facebook page, where she had used frequently to communicate with the public, that the resident did enjoy, and all of the residents had enjoyed, First Amendment protections. Therefore, if we as local politicians have our own political Facebook pages, we should not, and we are engaging the public, we shouldn't really be deleting comments, according to the case law. Now, I know, you know, I've seen it happen, you know, don't want to point fingers, I just want to say that we obviously need to steer the ship in the right direction. This would also apply to our Town of Phillipsburg Facebook page. We either allow comments or we don't, because since we're utilizing the town's social media page to communicate with public, it does appear by law that we cannot delete comments regardless of the content without violating the public's constitutional rights. And because we don't have a social media policy, even if it's found offensive, it has to stay. So, you know, that's concerning to me with children. I mean, I'm sure it's concerning to all of us with children. After reviewing some of the policies put in place in the other New Jersey municipalities, coupled with the decisions by the federal court, it's my recommendation that the town of Phillipsburg execute a social media and electronic communications policy that does the following. Clearly separates and outlines the expectations of use with regard to the town of Phillipsburg official social media site and electronic communications, and the expectations of elected officials with regard to electronic communications and the social media usage. Now, again, that's a guideline for elected officials because they kind of do enjoy freedoms, but they are, you can say whatever you want as an elected official, but you can't moderate, is basically what the case law can come back. And I will share these with council. I will go ahead and email them out. I would also ask that we can clearly identify the expectations of our municipal employees only while working in their official capacity with regard to the expected, in their official capacity for the town, with regard to the expected appropriate conduct on social media and in other forms of electronic communications. So if they go home that evening and they're on their personal Facebook page, we can't regulate what they say. They can say whatever they want. I don't believe that we should be infringing on anybody's First Amendment rights. There are several models of a social media policy currently in use. The few that I had found were New Brunswick, Metuchen, and the Township of Wyckoff. The most in-depth which I have found was to be the Township of Wyckoff, which I have printed for council review. I guess I'll give that over to Joe for the evening. It does need to be updated with the most federal ruling regarding comments, because there was a lot in here with New Jersey League of Municipalities. I'm not sure how up to date it was, because it was still claiming that you can have a policy removing comments, and I think according to the case, the federal court case, was that you can only remove comments if they were deemed offensive, and you would have to have that outlined in your policy. So, with that being said, that would just be my expectation. It's got to be a delicate balance, and at the same time, I think if we restrict the use, I don't know how it's being used currently because we don't have an IT department, but if we could see how many people are actually using Facebook at company time. I know in my company, you know, we do this all the time with a lot of clients, and once we shut Facebook off, productivity soars. So, I don't know, maybe that will help the productivity in the town of Phillipsburg. With that being said, I'll turn it over to Councilman Lutz.
Question for definition.
That is, just so you're aware, that is the policy that,
LBSJ1.
yes.
Or whatever means what?
I think those are just editing.
Right, they are just comments used by the program, whoever had used, I believe this is it's probably Word, and they were just editing, these are comments from the editing department.
Changing different things, that's all.
Right, this is not the policy that we were putting out, this was the policy.
I just wanted clarification on what WJS1,
That's just those
2, 3,
initials.
4, 5 is.
Right,
Yeah.
they're Josh's initials.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, Councilman.
That's right.
Nothing, Councilman Lutz?
No, we'll wait till we write it up and see what happens from there.
Right, I want to be fair, I don't want to really crack down on, you know, the public, but I also don't want us to abuse it as well. Councilman McVeigh?
I find there's a need for this. And it's regression towards appropriate social media practices by our employees, by our officials meaning folks that are not even paid, that are just serving in different boards or different things. You're talking to someone that had to live by a very strict set of rules for 27 years, so basically 20 years old to 47, and even now I still do that. That's just a common practice for me. So this is, to me, is easy. I'm not a fan of folks shooting from the hip while they're employed. I know this is a hot topic right now. As long as we don't violate anyone's rights, as a citizen, and you said it best, Council President, it is a delicate balance. But we're going to get that delicate balance. I'm confident of it because, we're a working council and we can figure it out, and we will figure it out with the help of, our council here. We're going to make it work because I know the public's screaming for it. I know folks up here on the dais are screaming for it. I'm not so much involved in social media anymore. I personally, once I became elected, I stepped away greatly from it, and the only thing I'm doing is just maybe a couple of door pictures or whatever. But it's with that being said, because I know the pitfalls of it. So, but it's also something that is, as a community, as we are trying to rebuild and rebrand ourselves as a community, it's important that we do get involved and push stuff out from our own voices, because we carry a big voice in our community. So in order to do that, I know personally, if we get something solid here, I would go back on and I feel a lot more comfortable knowing that I have a set of rules to go by and move forward, and I'm comfortable doing that. I personally don't want to put myself or my reputation in jeopardy, even if I think it's right, it could be wrong with what's going on. So that's what my stand. This is actually would encourage me to get back and share what's out there from our businesses and our great community stories, what we're going to have, such as getting together and asking help on the park. That's Saturday at 8 o'clock at Walters Park. So it's to go and help. So it's a great need. I'm confident our council will come up with something, and if we have to take our time with it, we will. We'll make sure every I is dotted and every T is crossed, and we'll comfortably move forward, and everyone will have a set of rules to live by. And then from that point, other things we're putting together here on council will fall into place to keep this into checks and balances, and then we have a decent system moving forward.
I agree wholeheartedly. Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Davis.
Yeah, I think it would be beneficial for us to adopt guidelines and suggestions in terms of the way that a council conducts itself. I also think it would behoove us in terms of codifying rules for the use of the name of the town of Phillipsburg, in terms of making sure that only authorized parties are doing that, and unauthorized parties not speaking as if on behalf of the town of Phillipsburg. but I'm also wary of fuzzying the bounds between the executive and legislative authorities of our offices. I feel like there's a lot of things in this social media policy that should be adopted by the mayor's office, but that should be specifically in the purview of the mayor's office as an administrative function as opposed to legislative action.
For clarification, Councilman, you're saying that I believe the mayor's office should be used for enforcement, or do you mean for like policy guidelines?
Yeah, so in terms of administrative action, my understanding is that in terms of like workplace rules, social media policy being one of them, authoring and execution would be in the mayor's domain, but I could be wrong about that, and I'm glad to be corrected if I am incorrect.
To be quite honest with you, and I will, at this point in time, I would have to defer to council if they're aware. The council, Joe, could you answer Councilman Davis's question?
In terms of personnel, the mayor's.
Can you speak into the microphone, please?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. As far as I'm aware, the personnel matters are in large part within the purview of the mayor with the advice of council. So I think there's sort of a delicate balancing act between both of them. But yeah, I think that the mayor does have authority over what the personnel issues are, which would probably include enforcement or some of the drafting of the social media policy.
Okay. Well, I would certainly like the mayor to do so. I would agree with Councilman Davis that we can do guidelines, and we could work with guidelines. I absolutely believe that would probably be best, especially with the implementation of the new ethics policy. I think it would probably be good for us to have guidelines. So, Councilman, I'm not fined. I don't want to be in trouble. You know what I mean? So, okay, so we will go that route. And I absolutely, we'd have to just go ahead and send a letter to the mayor letting him know that this is what we're doing. I would hope that he would want to put a social media policy in effect, especially if we were seeing our employees out there casting Phillipsburg in a negative light. Hopefully he shares that same vision.
Yeah, I think it's a wise thing for any company or institution to have at this time. So we can obviously pass a resolution encouraging you to adopt whatever we discuss here.
Absolutely. Thank you, Councilman. Okay. Anybody else? Do we have anything else on the social media policy? Okay. The last item is the Recreation Committee. Now, I had sent this out a few weeks ago to Rich to be looked at and be written, but we had gotten into a kind of like I overburdened Rich with a lot of work, so much so that he called me and asked me to slow down. That's good though, right? Because it means I'm doing the job you asked me to do. So I'd like to dissolve the current Recreation Advisory Committee and implement a Phillipsburg Recreation Committee similar to the one that's in existence right now in Blairstown Township. God bless you, Jim.
Thank you.
You're welcome. In the proposed ordinance that you'd received, we would be creating the position of Recreation Director and removing the position of Superintendent of Recreation. The position would still be a mayoral appointment with advice and consent of council, and they would act as a liaison between council and the Recreation Committee. And the reason that would be is because council controls the purse strings that would budget the committee, right? So it really would be all three parties working together. You'd have the mayor, the council, and then the committee. They'd have to all work together. As you can see in the proposed ordinance, the duties are no different than what we were doing before. However, the implementation of the committee is more advantageous to